Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the monthly content planning webinar for the month of February. My name is Sarah Thompson, and I will be your presenter today. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you're wanting to listen to this again as a recording, it will be sent to you from Business Station, and it also appears on the Business Station YouTube channel. So you're welcome to follow up with them if you kind of would like to listen back to it and do a little bit more work. I've put the workbook in the chat if you didn't receive it via email in advance, which hopefully you did, but maybe you haven't got it handy. And if you do have questions as we're going, because it is a webinar, you can't speak to me, but you can pop something in the chat, and I have the chat handy. So I have it next to me for you to hear. And just to be really, really clear in terms of today's workshop, it is very much about you taking action and completing the workbook. So it is going to be you participating and working rather than me telling you what to do. So I'm going to be giving you guidance and instructions, and hopefully that will get your ideas flowing as we go. So if you haven't met me, my name is Sarah Thompson, and I'm the owner and founder of Online Social Butterfly. I've been a specialist advisor and trainer with Business Station for almost 3 years now. And I have over 10 years experience in the digital marketing space, and I have another 15 years experience in marketing and communications here in Perth, Sydney, and also in the UK. Do have a few qualifications, but because we've got an hour, I'm not going to read them all out. If you would like to connect with me personally, I am Online Social Butterfly, and my fave places to hang out are Instagram and Facebook. So let's jump in and get started, because this is going to be very much a hands-on activity. And what I love to do, so if you have joined me in past months, you will know the format of how it goes. I do have a lot of people that come to this class every single month, and I will be honest, I absolutely love doing it myself. I find that when I do some planning like this, it really keeps me on top of things. And I also love to track the numbers in terms of how we're going. Now, numbers are partly a vanity metric, but they're also important because they show people that we're showing up, that we're giving good value, and that we're getting that engagement. So what I'm going to get you to do is on page 1 of the workbook. So I've always got the page number here if you're not quite with it, and the workbook is fully numbered. The first activity you're going to do is you're going to look at both Instagram and Facebook, because they're your key accounts, and how many fans or followers you have, your posts and your stories and your reels. So you can use insights on the Facebook website rather than the apps. If you can log it onto a desktop or a laptop, you go to page on the left-hand side menu, insights, and then you change the summary so it shows the last 28 days, because it'll automatically default to the last 7 days. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to complete the task on page 1. If you do have any questions, please ask me. I'll pop a timer up so you know how we're tracking. And remember, this is about you understanding your numbers. And if you complete this task every month, it's really, really helpful to see that growth. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that first activity, which I always think is really helpful. And if you don't manage to attend this class each month, I would highly recommend that you look at your stats and review them at the end of every month to see how things are progressing. It's always a good idea to track your numbers. I set myself goals, and we're early enough in the year that you could still set some goals. So at the moment, like my business Facebook page has got about 4,500 fans, and my goal is to get it to 6,000 by the end of the year. So I've broken that down as to how many I need to get each month. And then I've done activities that will help me grow that. So I would encourage you to do the same. Now moving on to page 2 of the workbook. And this is probably the single most important activity that you're going to do today, because what I always suggest to people is that for the month ahead, so for the month of February, what I would like you to do is I would like you to choose a theme that's going to be a focus for the month, okay? Now, one of the things that we do in our business that makes it really confusing for our audience is we try to tell them about everything that we do and sell those things all the time. Now, the problem with that is it becomes really overwhelming because for a start, people don't see all of our content on social media. So they do not see every single post that you put out. So if they see just a few posts here and there, what actually happens is they get a kind of they don't really have an idea of exactly what it is you do and who you are. So what we want to do is eliminate that confusion and overwhelm and make it really, really clear about what it is that we offer. Now, in my business, I have, oh my gosh, I've got 5 online courses. I've got a bunch of different workshops and webinars that I run. Let's say I've got 15 different products and I can sell in my business. If I was to talk about those, I'd only get 2 posts a month each, and it would be very confusing for people because I don't know if they won't know what I want them to do. So what we want to do is choose one theme for the month. And this is what we're going to talk about exclusively throughout the month. So I want you to spend some time, and I'm going to set the timer again for 5 minutes. And I want you to think about what will your theme be? What will you be promoting and what needs to be included? So you're going to follow the prompts on page 2 of your workbook to complete this task. Now, remember, this is your most important activity today because everything else that you do is going to flow out from it. Okay, so I hope that you've really fleshed out your theme for the month ahead. It's going to be really important that you feel very confident about what's your theme going to be, what does it include in terms of an offer or a promotion, and what do you need to include all that. So that activity is actually the most important one that we're going to do today. We're now going to move on to page 3 of the workbook. Now, in this workbook, what we're actually going to be doing is answering some questions about that product or service or that offer that is going to be our theme for the month ahead. Now, I would like you to take your time with this because we want to make sure we've answered each question in a good amount of detail. So we're going to start with question 1, and I'm going to set the timer, but I want you to think about, what does someone need to know before they buy from you? Like, who you are and why are you different? So this might include some of the reasons why you started your business, some of the information about the products or services, a little bit about you. So maybe what are your qualifications? What's your background? What is your passion? So we're going to start with question 1. I'm going to give you 4 minutes for that. Okay, so that gets us through question number 1. We're now going to move on to question number 2. And with this, I would like to challenge you to dig a little bit deeper, because what we often do is we think that people buy something because, and I'll give you an example. I teach Facebook ads, and I could say people will come to my workshops because they would like to be better at running Facebook ads, right? That's the problem that I solve. And I'm going to say that's really rubbish. What I need to do is dig in to the problem that's really underneath that. So people want to learn how to run Facebook ads because they're lying awake at night, worried that they've spent thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, they've done something wrong and they don't know how to fix it. That's the truth. We're really worried about we don't know how to set spending limits and we don't know how we're going to make it work. The other reason people want to do Facebook ads is because they don't understand how to make them work and they're worried about wasting their hard-earned dollars. So those are the problems. So what I want you to do is try and connect with what is going on deep down that I don't necessarily speak out loud, but you know that that's what's motivating me. And the more you can connect with my deep feelings of my problems, the better your marketing is going to be. So I want you to kind of push yourself and say, is that it? Okay, is there something more? Because this one here, if your Facebook posts connect with my deep, dark secrets of my problems, I will buy from you every day of the week. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this second question. Okay, we're now going to move on to question number 3. And this is, again, a really good one because it connects people with, if I buy this, how is it going to feel? And what we want to do is, again, we want to use that kind of storytelling aspect to it to think about how can we get people to connect with their feelings. So with my content planning class, if I was to promote this, I would say something like, imagine how good it would feel waking up every morning knowing that you have a plan that you can refer to instead of mindlessly scrolling social media, worrying about what to write. So see how I've given them a picture of what it looks like as an outcome. Okay, so with our outcome, it's not don't feel stressed, don't feel overwhelmed, don't feel tired, all those things. It's I want you to try and put it in terms that really is evocative and makes me go, oh, I want to feel that. I want to be there. Okay. So again, I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this activity. And again, I love writing this one. It's so enjoyable to kind of connect with and be a little bit creative in our responses. Okay, so we're now going to move on to question 4. And this is the final question that's going to kind of flesh out our monthly theme. And this one's really, really important because people will always have objections to buying from us. And it's usually around 2 things: money and time. And there are sometimes other factors, like they're unsure about us or the product or something like that. So you might want to consider those. But if you're going to, in this section, please just don't write down one of their objections is they're too busy. Okay. I want you to think about if people say that they're too busy, like I'm too busy to buy your online course because I don't have time to complete it. My answer to that would be, when you buy my online course, you have lifetime access to it. That means that you can take your time completing it and you're not under any pressure if things come up right now. So see how I've looked at what their objection is and I have answered it for them. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to complete this, and I want you to kind of not just write down too busy, don't have enough money. I want you to think about, if someone says I don't have enough money, how do you overcome that and say, I've got a payment plan or this is that. So you really need to think about how you can respond to those objections. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this activity. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that page on our workbook. And I hope that you're really finding yourself starting to get into the flow and the ideas are coming through, because this is really exciting to do this. And we're now going to move on to page 4 of our workbook. And this is where we really start to bring some content ideas together. So we've got 4 content ideas that are prompts for you. And what I'm going to do is going to give you each one of these ideas 4 minutes. So with our first one, it's all about testimonials. So these are testimonials that directly relate to our product, our service, or our offering for the month of February. What you need to do is you need to go and have a look at your Google reviews and your Facebook reviews to see if anyone specifically mentions, I love Sarah because, and then it's my February theme, let's say it's marketing. And so those reviews are directly aligned to it. It's also worth, like, if you're like me, I often take screenshots of people's comments and I try and get organized and put them into a space in my Trello where they are under different themes. So I know that if I'm promoting this class, I've got a review for that. So your first activity is going to be finding some reviews. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes. And if you don't have any, this might be a little moment to email someone that you know has worked with you and say, hey, if you've loved this, I'd love some help if you could leave me a review. So this is your 4 minutes to use and do as you will. Okay, so that brings us to the end of idea number one. We're now going to move on to idea number two, which is a little bit about behind the scenes. And this again, obviously relates to your theme for the month, but I can't stress how much people love behind the scenes. So I want you to think of some ideas that you can share that are behind the scenes in terms of the theme for the month of February. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this activity. Okay, we're now going to move on to our third idea, which is all about creating some quick tips that can help people understand that you are an expert in this field. So with quick tips, don't be afraid of giving people a knowledge that helps them understand what it is that you do, because what you're doing is establishing your credentials as an expert. So with quick tips, it's like small little wins that people can have related to your theme for the month. So I'm going to let you have another 4 minutes to work on that. Okay, so our last idea today is what could you write a long post on? Now, long posts are something that you may only need to do 1 or 2 a month because they're going to take a decent amount of your time and energy. But what it gives you the opportunity to do is dive into something. So it can be you explaining something in a great amount of detail for your theme for the month, or it could be you writing an opinion piece. So my theme for February is marketing. So I could talk a couple of things. I could go through some marketing 101 ideas, or I could give my opinion on why I think small businesses don't do marketing well, something like that. So I'm going to give you now 4 minutes. We're coming to the home stretch now to do some ideas and some long posts. And while you're in that flow, if you have a couple of you want to just write down, think this, just some jot points, make sure you capture those as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end of page 4 on our workbook. I'm going to jump over to page 5. And what I want to do is, because I'm conscious that we're going to run out of time, I want you to have a little look at the themes that we've got for the month ahead, the monthly themes and the daily themes. And I want you to think about what might be appropriate for your audience. So I'm just going to give you a little minute to do this, and then we're going to move on to the final task. Okay, so that's our last activity for today's webinar. What I want to do is just have a quick chat about how you're going to move forward with this plan. So this plan is all about giving you clarity and focus on what you've got coming for the month ahead. So what I want you to do is always have it ready so that if you have time now and you could actually write out your individual social media posts and schedule them, that would be amazing. But if you don't, when you sit down each morning and think, what am I going to write about? This is your plan to refer back to. And it's really important that you actively use it to get the most value from it. So I want to just wrap up and let you know about the Digital Solutions program that is run by Business Station, who presented this webinar today. This program is available to you as a small business owner, where you get 7 hours of business mentorship for simply $44. If you would like to find out if you are eligible for this program, you simply have to have an ABN registered in WA, Queensland or NT. You have to have a for-profit business with less than 20 full-time employees. And you can apply and pay your $44 and work with expert advisors like myself. We help with a range of topics. If you would like to put me as your preferred advisor, my name is Sarah Thompson, and I can help you with your Facebook marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram, and Canva. I can also help you if you want to spend some of that time writing your content for the month following on from today's class. If you're not sure what you need, you simply leave your preferred advisor blank and one will be allocated to you. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been delightful sharing this space, and I hope you found today's webinar incredibly useful. I'll see you all later.